I now want to go to Gerard Holland, who is with the Page Research Centre, Chief Executive there. Gerard, we've heard a lot around the room so far. The point is we want answers. What are the policy settings that Australia needs right now, in your opinion?
Thank you so much, Ross. Thank you, Matt, and thank you for all the contributors. I find myself in furious agreement with what's been said so far. At the Page Research Centre, we're particularly concerned with rural and regional Australia. We are very much a regionally integrated economy. The vast majority of our export value comes from the regions, and chances are if you grow it, if you dig it up out of the ground, if you come to visit it, if you package it, if you transport it out, it comes from the bush. And the two biggest issues, as we've heard multiple times, are energy and the red, green and black tape that's strangling productivity. On what do we actually do about this? Well, we actually do know how to produce cheap energy. We've known for a very long time. We've known since the Industrial Revolution, and it's investing in dense, reliable, dispatchable energy generation, preferably utilising your own domestic abundance of resources, and then situating those generators as either close to the consumer or as close to the mine mouth as possible. We're going to have an energy section later on today, but it's no wonder why our energy prices have gotten so expensive. We are building out a diffuse, disparate, expensive grid that requires exceptional amounts of infrastructure in order to service the economy, and not just the transmission lines. You think about all the roads, all the fabrication, blasting off tops of mountainsides in order to set these things up. That's an expensive game. So what do you do about it? We need to end all these subsidies to unproductive and uneconomically viable renewable projects and transition back towards traditional power generation, which has given us our prosperity in the past. On the red, green and black tape front, we've heard as well that we have some of the highest corporate taxes and company taxes in the world. That's an easy lever to pull, but we also shouldn't be directing funds towards bodies such as environmental defenders offices, which are deliberately frustrating projects and frustrating our primary and secondary industries as they are trying to get things up and going in the bush. I'd just like to quickly pick up on 2 points that David made and that Gary made. David, you mentioned an aspirational economy, and I'm might be the youngest person in this room, and I'm someone who has never seen an aspirational economy in my adult life. Well, I've spent the last 10 years now in a stagnant economy, and I'm looking around at a lot of my peers who are now entering their 30s. They're looking to start families, they're looking to have children, and they're finding they can't afford any property. They've never seen the kind of dynamism and growth that will give them hope for the future. And so, of course, the public sector is an incredibly attractive proposal because it's a de-risked, long-term track pathway which gives them security. And so this, just to make a point that this is a crucially important problem that we realise, and some of that aspiration isn't always a policy lever. Sometimes it's about the way we talk about ourselves. It's whether we see the possible, whether we are seeking productivity, and whether our cultural ambitions are to do things like decarbonise, or our cultural ambitions are to have an aspirational abundance mindset, to think how can we empower the most people to both transform their lives but also equip us to steward the natural environment. And the last quicker point I pick up on was the quality of the capital. And you can spend a lot of money building golden statues of Albanese, but that isn't necessarily going to get us out of our productivity slump. And when we're thinking about manufacturing in our secondary industries, I'm acutely aware that the international environment is deteriorating quite quickly. And I think our supply chain security and our national security is an important factor into that equation as well. And you will find a greater alignment in matching up the quality of our capital investments with securing our nation's future, and be that in looking at things like making sure that we continue to have a sovereign shipping industry and an international merchant marine, be that making sure we can do things like make cans, which can then turn into gun and bullet factories should bad things happen, investing in our energy security, and of course in the bush and our regions, making sure we can feed ourselves and our food security, be that our crop protection products, our fertilisers and those other inputs that are necessary to feed the country. So solutions, I think net zero is a good one. Invest in dense power, cut back the regulation, and make sure we are directing capital towards those industries that are going to make sure we maintain our national security and sovereignty into the future.